Christian President Jean-Claude Juncker is on a two-day visit to Tunisia, where he signed several deals worth nearly 300 million euros. Juncker was hoping to keep the trip focused on trade, but he can't escape the issue around migration. Our correspondent Annelise Borges got rare access to the President of the European Commission and asked him whether migration could spell the end of the European Union as we know it.
I was attending so many finishing moments that I don't believe that this is another one. No, it's difficult, it's asking, it's demanding, but the European Union is not on the way to be divided.
Now let's go to our correspondent Annelise Borges, who's in Tunisia. Annelise, Tunisia has a very important role to play in the EU's external migration policy. How important is this visit to Jean-Claude Juncker?
Well, the EU certainly wants to count Tunisia among its partners on its fight against illegal migration, but it's been quite interesting to see just how reluctant Jean-Claude Juncker was to even talk about the topic. On the plane on our way here, I asked him whether or not migration could influence the end of Europe, could spell the end of Europe. And obviously I asked him about the importance of this visit to that outsourcing migration policy. This is what Jean-Claude Juncker had to say.
The main objective is to listen to them, because in Europe sometimes we are taking decisions impacting North Africa without talking to them. I didn't like this decision by the European Council to have these platforms supposedly to be located in Africa, but nobody talked to them. During the June European Council, I was mentioning this, we are deciding for others. It's a humiliation for Africa that we are analyzing all the relations with Africa through this migration perspective. That's the European way of lecturing others, but that's not my way.
Jean-Claude Juncker is saying that migration is absolutely not what this trip is all about, and insisting that he doesn't want to reduce the relationship between the EU and Africa to migration. He said there's much more to be talked about. Here in Tunis, he's been talking about investing in the country's future, investing in the country's youth. And of course, Tunisia is a very important place for Europe. It's a very symbolic place, one of the only countries in the Arab world to have somewhat succeeded after the Arab Spring, and Europe wants to keep it that way. So European officials here in Tunisia have been talking about the importance of seeing Tunisia pick up the pace of reforms and delivering on its promises. But of course, Tunisia is struggling with high levels of unemployment and inflation, and a vast number of young people saying that they are ready to risk everything for a chance of life in Europe.
And Jean-Claude Juncker is going to be stepping down after the European elections in May. What's in store for the EU?
Indeed, we talked about Jean-Claude Juncker's final year as a European Commission President, and I asked him whether or not he had someone in mind that he would like to see replace him, especially after the Italian Interior Minister, Matteo Salvini, has hinted at the possibility that he would be interested in the job. And there are rumors circulating that after suffering several blows at home, German Chancellor Angela Merkel could be studying the possibility of resigning at the end of the year and joining that race. Well, here's what Jean-Claude Juncker had to say about those two names.
Salvini is not in a situation to run for the presidency of the Commission, and I don't think that Mrs. Merkel wants to do so. And by the way, I'm never commenting on my successor, not even on my predecessors, because I think that this would be very bad style. But I'm replaceable.
A somewhat humble Juncker saying that he is replaceable. He insisted that Europe will be just fine come next May.